He left us.
The time has come. The Special Infected series has reached its final episode, and it's all been in thanks to you, the viewer, and to my Patreon and YouTube Super Chat donators, Lovable Tester, Scout with a Name, Alan Springfield Porter, Liz, Benny Boy, Mario Gamer, Taylor07, Matthew Truex, Zeno Salvador, Mortal Destroy 1, Twilight Duck, Silver Art, Florian B. Bell, Brendan Costa, Emerald Wolf, Super Saiyan Adam, Deja, Dancing Wolf, Grant Scard, XX Shadow XX, and Kylie Elizabeth. Now, it wouldn't be a finale without the muscle-headed, panic-causing, Oko-loving, no chin strap required, skipping leg day, hulking Leviathan, Roy Junkie himself. This week, it's the big boy himself. This week, it's Special Infected Profile, the
Ass Clown!
Nope. The Tank. Breaking through as the largest Special Infected with the most damage, health, and overall bulk, the Tank serves as a complete change of course of action for the survivors. His almost gorilla-like stance and bull-like aggressive charge in, head-first demeanor, the Tank is the highest threat to take out any uninfected personnel. The Tank is a case of the green flu abusing the physical host to its most extreme degree. Its upper body overtaken by a mountain of muscles that give it the ungodly strength to punch around heavy obstacles, break down walls, and destroy anything that lays before it. Now, why is the Tank built like a tank? And why is he so much more aggressive and less tactical than most other Special Infected? Well, the green flu would be magnifying the effects of muscular hypertrophy. Hypertrophy, an increase in size of skeletal muscular growth due to surrounding component cells. The green flu would hijack these component cells and not give them a limit to how large these muscles could actually grow. During this state of enhanced hypertrophy, the body's myostatin, the body's natural protein that tells the body to halt muscle growth, would be suppressed. Basically, the green flu is just telling the Tank's body, go to town, grow those muscles, get those gains, son, so I can make some gains! But what could cause all this, since the green flu tends to attach itself to a disease or lifestyle choice of a previously uninfected individual? The Tank could have numerous causes for why his body had a suppressed myostatin and hypertrophy. Many bodybuilders and people with intensive workout routines will take bodybuilding supplements, creatine, human growth hormone, and even anabolism steroids. These vitamins, supplements, and drugs give an extra boost to muscle growth and overall fitness. The green flu would use the outside manufactured chemicals to quickly evolve the host. Now, steroids have a major side effect, as many people have come to know. By the way, don't take drugs, kids. The Tank, while a hulking behemoth, has one small part about him that is very noticeable. His legs are puny and relatively normal size compared to the rest of his roided out body. Never skip leg day, bros. Steroids have been shown to make individuals sterile, as well as affected the genitalia, even worsen parts of the body. The host may have been injecting anabolism steroids directly to his arms and focusing on working out his arms while his legs stayed normal. Maybe in Left 4 Dead 3 we will get a Tank with a normal torso and wicked strong legs. Usain Bolt infected confirmed. Now, with the small size of his legs, you would assume the Tank wouldn't be a fast infected to take pursuit, but he actually runs the same speed as a full health survivor. The scrawny legs playing a very small portion of his mobility and support to the giant body, but most of the support and speed is attributed to the Tank walking around on all fours and knuckle walking with his gigantic arms. Constantly running around with such force has swollen his wrists and hands to a very high degree, but in Left 4 Dead 2 they have lessened a bit. I guess they adapted to all the abuse the wrists are taking. No Charger joke intended. The muscle mass growing outwards enough that its body becomes a weapon as well as armor. While we can see the damage it can deal out, the pure thickness of the muscle could also absorb the penetrating shots of enemy gunfire. The muscles acting as a bullet sponge, his bones would also be mutating to adapt to the sheer weight of his muscles, thickening and hardening enough to where bullet fire wouldn't do much in small increments, which would explain why headshots on the Tank don't do increased damage. The bone mass magnifying in conjunction with the muscle mass, so the skull would actually be pretty thick. Now, besides its physical characteristics, we need to look into the psyche of the Tank and see why he is in a constant bout of rage. Rabies comes to mind, but doesn't really fit in with the medical description. Heavy brain damage is a reasonable outcome since the muscle mass around the head is constantly squeezing the skull and brain matter, and could have also been battered by battle and reckless damage from charging in on enemies. But my reasoning would fall back on the drugs and supplements of bodybuilding. Steroids have been shown to cause unbridled points of rage and mood swings. The green flu would tack onto this emotional shift and turn it up to 11. The Tank becomes like a bull when seeing the color red, so fixated on a target that he will not stop until until the target or he is vanquished, and any obstacle in the way will be knocked aside. But the tank is not always on the move. The amount of mass on a human body is way too much energy to waste. The tank will rest and lie around corners or corridors, waiting for survivors to rear their non-rotting faces. After this period of rest, they will go all out, but with a catch. If a tank finds itself in a situation where it cannot reach its target in any way, he will keel over and die from a boiling point of frustration. This is the case for the AI-controlled tank. If a player takes over the role of the tank, they can also lose control if the tank does not successfully land a direct hit on a survivor. See it as a super pissed off person punching a punching bag. It helps the person relieve some anger and stress. If the stress is not relieved, the person will lose control, or the AI tank will give up on life and die from rage.
What are you looking at, sport? Don't you eyeball me! Don't you eyeball a junkyard dog! Now you got the dog barking! Look, you got it! You got it!
This is known as the tank's rage meter and will appear and start losing control as more unengaged time passes as the tank. Back in Left 4 Dead 1, he would only go after one survivor at a time until the whole team was wiped, even when they were down. But he grasped a better field strategy and situational awareness after his further mutations in Left 4 Dead 2 and goes after any survivor that is nearby. Further mutations in Left 4 Dead 2 include his jaw being completely assimilated into his muscles so his tongue completely drips out like a necktie. His arm and wrists are less swollen, showing that his body is adapting to the constant stress, but does not take away from the sheer force behind his punches and rock throws. Which brings me to the strategies of and against the tank. The tank has two forms of attack. His ability to absolutely decimate someone's whole body with one swing, one punch is all I need, and to rip a rock from beneath him and toss it at a survivor at a high speed from anywhere. He's an Earthbender. The tank has two primary forms of attack. In order to hit survivors from a long distance, he can perform two different types of rock throws. The tank can lift a chunk of concrete above his head and toss it from a higher point, while his secondary animation does a throw from its lower body, kind of an underhanded toss. If throwing from the lower body, try not to have any objects directly in front of you, or your rock throw will disintegrate the second it leaves your swollen hands. The rock will begin to lose its height the longer it's in the air, you know, like any regular throwable object. Much like the spitter and boomer, their usable projectiles will be shot outwards depending on where you're aiming your reticle. Try practicing the arch of your throw when you get a chance. Getting up high and throwing rocks can keep you safe from direct gunfire and even Molotov throws. Survivors have the chance to shoot the rock out of the air though, if they damage it enough. So try to throw a rock at them while they're distracted or dealing with the horde to give them the least amount of time to react. His main form of attack, the punch, does some major damage to the survivors. On expert difficulty, it can instantly knock someone down. But not only that, it has massive knockback. Use his punch to knock survivors off ledges, into water, or into dangerous areas like fire or spit. Be careful with the distance this knockback can create. After the knockback, the survivor spends a good second in a getting up animation, allowing you to use that time to close in on them over and over again. Be careful though. If a survivor is rushing towards the safe room, you may end up aiding them in gaining distance towards their end goal. The punch can also be used to knock around debris like cars, dumpsters, and logs, as well as explode debris like boats and stacks of bricks and tombstones. When the tank hits survivors with a non-disintegrating debris, he will instantly end cap them. The tank also has the ability to hit the bell on the Test Your Strength machine on Chapter 4 of Dark Carnival to summon a horde. All you have to do is line it up and punch it once. Punching large objects into survivors depends on the angle at which the tank is facing. If the tank is aiming upwards while punching a car, the cart will shoot up at a high angle versus aiming straight forward, which will cause the car to slide along the ground. Be careful though, the smacked objects can sometimes be unpredictable in their direction, and if they hit you or your infected team in any way, can cause massive amounts of friendly fire damage. Tanks can one-shot all special infected, excluding the charger, who can survive 2 hits from the heavy hitter directly, and in some rare cases, a bot tank will even kill infected if they stand in the way of his ultimate goal. Now, how durable is the Musclehead? The tank in versus mode has a total of 6,000 health, so he can take a considerable amount of damage, but don't get cocky because it could be relatively easy to dispatch a tank if a full team of 4 unload their clips into the tank, especially if he is a towering inferno and lit on fireball and Molotov. Play conservatively, scope out a situation where a rock throw can be achievable, or when a survivor is an easy target. infected. Never chase a full health survivor unless you have special infected or common infected support slowing them down and preoccupying other survivors. Many new players make the mistake thinking that since they're such a giant zombie that they can charge in headfirst and try punching the enemy team much like an AI controlled tank. Most of the time without team support they will be snuffed out and probably rage quit. If you're in ghost mode as a special infected and suddenly get the prompt that you're becoming the tank, try your best to spawn in whatever special infected you are. If you are able to spawn in before switching to the tank, you will pass over the special infected to a bot and have an extra backup for your impending tank fight. Now combating the tank, you're going to need a lot of lead, a lot of fire, a lot of puke, and most importantly, you're going to need to run. Or as Lewis and Bill would say,
run or shoot. Run or shoot! Whoa!
When you hear this music, stop what you're doing. Scan the current area you are in and start strategizing how well you can combat a tank in that given space. If it's not a big open space to where you have enough room to evade the tank's punches without constantly running into other teammates, find a space to where you can dodge and gain enough distance to shoot the tank as he tries to bridge the gap. Survivors tend to stockpile their Molotovs in the probable cause of a tank arriving. Molotovs will permanently light special infected on fire unless a body of water is nearby. While the tank is on fire, he will of course continue to take damage and will only last 30 seconds if the fire is not put out. In versus mode, he will also have his movement speed reduced and his rage meter will never appear. The movement speed decrease is not used in any mode besides versus for the tank. However, the tank is not only a bullet sponge but can take quite a few hits from a sharp or blunt melee weapon, 20 to be exact. So don't be afraid to get up close and personal with him if he is distracted or guns just aren't working. Just remember, the tank favors direct combat. Much like the witch, the tank tends to spawn randomly throughout campaigns. However, he will not spawn in the first chapters of Dead Center and No Mercy. This excludes versus mode. Tanks will always arrive during finales. Finales seem to follow a certain tank dynamic. Survivors will face a horde of commons until they dissipate and a tank spawns. Gameplay balance aside, common infected thinning out during a tank is probably because of the tank laying waste to all infected in front of him. Lewis in the sacrifice comment made a good observation about this occurrence during finales. The common infected are like piranhas, not too picky about who they attack. If you jump in a lake of piranhas and you ain't getting attacked, means there's a shark around. To get practice with the tank, I would highly recommend playing the mutation tank. It's a guarantee of playing as the tank, and you can practice your rock throwing, car punching, and overall time as the tank, considering playing as the tank in regular versus is a 1 in 4 chance to even play as him each time he rarely spawns. In tank mode, every special infected is the tank. Now to end things off, a little bit of the trivia to get you by. The tank that's locked in the train car has a different skin in the sacrifice, having less clothing, a different tint to his skin, and even has Marines tattoos on his arm, giving it a unique piece of character, defining the tank's previous uninfected life as either an active or former Marine that succumbed to the virus the government was trying to contain. This is also the only tank that has a set spawn outside of a finale. The tank was voted number 51 in IGN's all-time greatest video game villains. Tanks may be tough, but not as tough as William Bell Overbeck, where it took a total of 3 tanks to take the old man down, but not before he lit one of them on fire and sacrificed himself for the greater good of his team. Despite the tank's ferocious nature, the survivors knew how to handle them in a 4v1 situation, but handling 3 tanks at once was considered too difficult of a task, and that's what had to bring Bill down. Rest in peace, brother. The tank in Left 4 Dead 1 is vastly different looking from the tank in Left 4 Dead 2. The first tank looking more human and more like he just has some disfigurements versus the Left 4 Dead 2 tank who looks like a giant scab. Can you note all the differences? Let me know in the comments of all the differences. Now that finally covers the tank. And how come the tank doesn't take fall damage? Well, he absorbs all the impact in his fist, not his legs. Thanks for making me explain fall damage each video, Cake, except for the witch one where I completely forgot because I spent 13 hours on it. So, Cake, I hate your guts. Thanks for making me do that. In every special infected that was featured in the Left 4 Dead series. Did I miss anything along the way? Were my science and pro tips not good enough for you? Let me know in the comments on how I should improve. Do you want me to cover the scrap special infected as a bonus episode? What about the uncommon infected? You know what to do, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep me motivated to keep making videos, and ring that bell by the sub button to ensure you see my videos as they release. Well, that ends another profile series. I wonder what lies next. I've got tons of ideas, so just stick with me and let's see what else the Left 4 Dead universe and maybe other gaming universes have to offer and open up about. Until next time, I'm Zack, aka Wild Such Gaming. Thanks for watching and stay well.